Sunday morning, 4:45 a.m., Manhattan Financial District. The security camera captures a figure pushing a laundry cart through the service exit of Allied Bank's off-site storage facility. The man wears a face mask and maintenance coveralls, appearing to be just another weekend worker completing routine duties in the city that never sleeps. Nothing about the scene suggests that the cart contains $18 million in Federal Reserve currency, or that the quiet man pushing it has just completed one of the most ingenious bank heists in history. By Monday morning, when the theft is discovered, Walter Greene will be 200 miles away, having vanished into the anonymity of retirement life. The 68-year-old HVAC technician has proven that sometimes the best way to rob a bank isn't to break in. It's to use the ventilation system you installed yourself 20 years ago, when security was simpler and nobody imagined that the man fixing the air conditioning was memorizing every detail for a future payday. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more incredible true crime stories. And let us know in the comments what you think about Walter's ingenious plan. Walter Greene's journey to becoming one of America's most unlikely bank robbers began in the blue-collar neighborhoods of Queens, where he grew up during the 1960s as the youngest son of a construction worker and a seamstress. His fascination with mechanical systems started early, dismantling old radios and rebuilding them in his parents' basement, while other kids played stickball in the streets. By age 12, Walter could repair virtually any household appliance, earning spending money from neighbors who discovered the quiet kid had an almost supernatural understanding of how things worked. The path that led Walter to his expertise in HVAC systems was shaped by a traumatic incident during his teenage years. A fire in his family's apartment building, caused by faulty heating equipment, claimed the lives of two elderly neighbors and left Walter with a lifelong obsession about the importance of properly maintained environmental systems. He enrolled in trade school immediately after high school, specializing in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, with a focus that impressed even veteran instructors. Walter's early career took him through the booming construction projects of 1970s New York, where he learned that the most secure buildings were only as safe as their most overlooked vulnerabilities. Working on police stations, government buildings, and early computer facilities, he discovered that security planners consistently underestimated the access provided by utility systems. Ventilation ducts, electrical conduits, and plumbing chases created highways through even the most fortified structures. The skills that would eventually make Walter invaluable to the banking industry were honed during his work on the World Trade Center complex in the early 1980s. The massive towers required revolutionary HVAC systems that could maintain precise environmental conditions while serving tens of thousands of occupants. Walter's contributions to those systems earned him recognition as one of the most innovative technicians in the field, capable of solving problems that stumped engineers with advanced degrees. Walter's reputation for solving impossible HVAC challenges led to his recruitment by specialized contractors who worked exclusively on high-security installations. Banks, government facilities, museums, and corporate headquarters required environmental systems that could maintain precise conditions while integrating with complex security networks. Walter became known as the technician who could make any system work, regardless of how challenging the requirements or how sensitive the location. The Allied Bank off-site storage facility project came to Walter in 2003 through Meridian Environmental Systems, a contractor that specialized in high-security installations throughout Manhattan. The building was designed to serve as overflow storage for Allied's main branch, housing cash reserves that exceeded the capacity of traditional vault systems. The facility's HVAC requirements were extraordinary. Museum-quality environmental control combined with complete integration into a sophisticated security network. Walter's initial survey of the Allied Bank facility revealed challenges that excited his engineering mind. The building's architects had designed a storage complex that could maintain precise temperature and humidity levels while providing multiple redundant security systems. However, the integration of environmental and security systems created potential vulnerabilities that Walter recognized immediately, though he filed the observations away as intellectual curiosities rather than criminal opportunities. The HVAC system that Walter designed for Allied Bank was a masterpiece of engineering that impressed even the most experienced security consultants. His environmental controls could maintain conditions within 1 degree and 5% humidity variance, protecting paper currency and sensitive documents from deterioration. More importantly, his system integrated seamlessly with the building's security network, providing environmental monitoring that enhanced rather than compromised the facility's protective capabilities. Walter's design philosophy emphasized reliability, redundancy, and maintainability. Every critical component had multiple backups, and every system included service access points that would allow maintenance without disrupting security protocols. The ductwork he installed included service crawlways that exceeded standard specifications, emergency bypass routes that could maintain environmental control during system failures, and inspection hatches positioned for optimal maintenance access. During the installation phase, Walter worked closely with security contractors, architects, and bank executives to ensure seamless integration between environmental and security systems. This collaboration required him to understand alarm system specifications, camera placement strategies, and vault access procedures in extraordinary detail. His security clearance for the project provided access to classified building plans that revealed vulnerabilities invisible to outside observers. The technical documentation that Walter retained from the Allied Bank project was completely legal and standard practice for HVAC contractors. System specifications, warranty documents, and maintenance procedures were routinely kept for future service calls and warranty obligations. However, Walter's documentation was unusually comprehensive, including detailed measurements, access codes, and security integration notes that reflected his perfectionist approach to technical work. Walter's retirement in 2015 marked the end of a distinguished 40-year career that had taken him inside some of New York's most secure buildings. His pension from Local 638 of the Steamfitters Union, combined with Social Security and modest savings, provided comfortable retirement income for himself and his wife Eleanor. They purchased a small house in Hudson Valley, where Walter pursued woodworking hobbies while Eleanor tended a garden that became the envy of their neighbors. The Greene household during retirement was a model of middle-class stability and contentment. Walter spent his mornings working in a garage workshop, where he crafted custom furniture and repaired neighbors' appliances, while afternoons were devoted to long walks with Eleanor and maintenance of their modest property. Their social life revolved around church activities, senior center events, and occasional visits with former colleagues who had also retired to quieter communities outside New York City. Eleanor Greene had been Walter's anchor throughout his career, providing the emotional stability that allowed him to focus on increasingly complex technical challenges. A retired elementary school teacher, she possessed organizational skills and attention to detail that complemented Walter's mechanical expertise. Their marriage of 43 years was built on mutual respect, shared values, and Eleanor's remarkable ability to create comfortable homes in whatever city Walter's work demanded. The devastating diagnosis that would shatter their peaceful retirement came during Eleanor's routine physical examination in March 2023. Her persistent fatigue and unexplained weight loss, initially attributed to normal aging, were revealed through advanced testing to be symptoms of an aggressive pancreatic adenocarcinoma that had already metastasized to her liver and lymph nodes. Dr. Sarah Martinez, the oncologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering, who delivered Eleanor's diagnosis, explained that conventional treatment options were limited due to the cancer's advanced stage and aggressive characteristics. However, experimental immunotherapy protocols showed promise for extending survival and potentially achieving remission. The treatments were cutting-edge but extraordinarily expensive, requiring upfront payments that exceeded the lifetime savings of most middle-class families. The financial reality of Eleanor's treatment options was more devastating than the medical diagnosis itself. The experimental CAR T-cell therapy that offered the best hope for survival required $900,000 in upfront payments to cover cellular modification procedures, specialized medical monitoring, and extended hospitalization. Additional costs for ongoing maintenance therapy could reach $1.5 million over the 2-year treatment protocol that represented Eleanor's only realistic chance for meaningful survival. Medicare coverage for Eleanor's condition was limited to basic palliative care that would simply manage her pain while the cancer progressed to its inevitable conclusion. The experimental nature of the treatments that offered hope for survival placed them outside covered benefits, leaving Walter and Eleanor responsible for costs that exceeded their lifetime earnings by a substantial margin. Walter exhausted conventional funding options with the systematic thoroughness that had characterized his engineering career. Home equity loans against their house provided $180,000, while early withdrawal from retirement accounts yielded another $220,000 after substantial tax penalties. Appeals to pharmaceutical assistance programs, charity organizations, and medical foundations generated additional support totaling $85,000, leaving them $415,000 short of the minimum required for Eleanor's treatment. The psychological impact of Eleanor's diagnosis on Walter was complicated by his engineering mindset, which automatically analyzed problems systematically while searching for solutions that others might overlook. His technical background had trained him to view seemingly impossible challenges as puzzles requiring creative approaches rather than insurmountable obstacles. The financial barrier to Eleanor's survival became, in Walter's mind, an engineering problem requiring unconventional solutions. The evolution of Walter's thinking from desperate husband to potential criminal occurred gradually over sleepless nights spent reviewing medical bills and treatment options. His analytical mind began cataloging resources and opportunities that might provide the funds necessary for Eleanor's survival. The Allied Bank storage facility emerged from these mental inventories as the most accessible source of the large amounts of cash required for immediate treatment costs. Walter's initial reconnaissance of the Allied Bank facility in September 2023 was conducted with the same methodical approach he had used for legitimate engineering surveys throughout his career. He observed the building from multiple angles and times of day, noting changes in external security, personnel patterns, and maintenance activities. His technical eye immediately recognized that his original HVAC installation remained largely unmodified, suggesting that his 20-year-old knowledge of building systems remained current and actionable. The preparation phase of Walter's criminal plan required acquiring specialized equipment and materials without creating suspicious purchase patterns that might attract law enforcement attention. His legitimate background in HVAC work provided perfect cover for obtaining climbing gear, portable lighting systems, and precision tools that might otherwise appear suspicious to retailers or credit card monitoring systems. Walter's equipment acquisition strategy involved spreading purchases across multiple suppliers and payment methods over several months. Climbing harnesses and rope systems were purchased from outdoor equipment retailers using cash payments that avoided creating traceable records. Specialized cutting tools and electronic equipment were acquired through industrial suppliers who knew Walter as a retired contractor maintaining his workshop for hobby projects. The most sophisticated aspect of Walter's preparation involved creating false contractor credentials that would allow legitimate access to the Allied Bank building without triggering security investigations. He established Greene Environmental Services as a fictitious HVAC company, using online business registration services to create documentation that would satisfy routine verification procedures performed by building security personnel. The false business documentation that Walter created included professional insurance certificates, business licenses, and contractor certifications that were sophisticated enough to pass casual inspection by security guards and building managers. His decades of experience with legitimate HVAC contracting provided intimate knowledge of the paperwork and procedures that would be expected during routine service calls. Walter's reconnaissance of Allied Bank's current security protocols required systematic observation of the facility during different shifts and days of the week. He positioned himself at strategic locations around the building to monitor guard rotations, delivery schedules, and maintenance activities that might provide cover for his planned illegal entry. His analysis revealed that weekend operations were minimal, with reduced staffing and relaxed security procedures that created optimal conditions for covert access. The technical assessment of Allied Bank's current HVAC systems confirmed Walter's hypothesis that his original installation remained largely unchanged. Budget constraints and the complexity of modifying integrated environmental and security systems had discouraged major upgrades over the intervening 20 years. The access routes, service points, and bypass procedures that Walter had designed remained functional and unmonitored. The custom equipment that Walter constructed for navigating the ventilation system represented his most impressive engineering achievement since his original work on the World Trade Center complex. Working in his garage workshop, he designed and built a wheeled platform that could support his weight while allowing horizontal movement through ductwork that had never been intended for human passage. Walter's transport system included features that demonstrated his exceptional mechanical expertise and attention to detail. Silent wheels manufactured from specialized polymer materials eliminated noise that might trigger audio monitoring systems. Adjustable dimensions allowed the platform to navigate ductwork of varying sizes, while modular cargo compartments could accommodate different loads during transport operations. The engineering challenges of moving substantial weight loads through confined spaces required Walter to develop innovative solutions that combined principles from multiple technical disciplines. His transport system incorporated leverage mechanisms that reduced the physical effort required for movement, while precision bearings ensured smooth operation even under maximum load conditions. Testing of Walter's custom equipment took place in a section of abandoned subway tunnel that he accessed through contacts from his construction career. These tests allowed him to verify the performance of his transport system under conditions that closely approximated the environment he would encounter during the actual theft operation. Saturday, November 18th, provided optimal conditions for Walter's operation due to a confluence of factors that he had been monitoring for several weeks. Allied Bank's weekend staffing was at minimum levels due to a scheduling conflict that left only essential security personnel on duty. Simultaneously, ongoing construction work in nearby buildings provided cover for the presence of maintenance vehicles and personnel throughout the financial district. Walter's timing coincided with a citywide HVAC maintenance period that provided legitimate explanations for service technicians working throughout Manhattan during weekend hours. This annual event, scheduled to minimize disruption to normal business operations, created perfect cover for Walter's presence in the financial district while carrying specialized equipment and wearing contractor coveralls. The entry phase of Walter's operation began at 2:15 p.m. when he accessed the Allied Bank building through the rooftop exhaust system that he had designed and installed 20 years earlier. His knowledge of access codes and security bypass procedures proved invaluable, as these systems had been updated infrequently due to their perceived minimal security risk and the assumption that rooftop access required sophisticated climbing, equipment, and detailed building knowledge. Walter's initial progress through the building's ventilation system required him to navigate passages that he had last traveled during the original installation in 2003. His remarkable memory for technical details, enhanced by the comprehensive documentation he had retained, allowed him to move efficiently through the ductwork without becoming lost or accidentally triggering motion sensors in occupied areas of the building. The descent to the storage level where cash was held required Walter to use vertical shafts and service ladders that connected different floors of the ventilation system. These passages had been designed for emergency access and routine maintenance operations, but they had never been intended for the kind of extended human occupation that Walter's criminal plan required. The breakthrough into the cash storage area occurred when Walter accessed a ventilation buffer zone that surrounded the main vault, but was not considered part of the secure storage space itself. This intermediate area had been designed to provide environmental control for the vault while maintaining separation from the primary security perimeter. Bank security protocols had never anticipated that someone might use this buffer zone as an entry point to the storage areas. The buffer zone contained overflow cash from Federal Reserve deliveries that were awaiting processing and distribution to Allied Bank's regional branches. These funds represented a temporary accumulation of currency that exceeded the capacity of the main vault system, stored in the buffer area because they had not yet been officially entered into the bank's inventory tracking system. Walter's selection of currency focused on bundles that would not trigger immediate alerts during routine security checks. His understanding of bank operations, gained during years of HVAC installation work at financial institutions, allowed him to identify money that was most likely to escape attention during standard inventory procedures. The overflow cash in the buffer zone was typically counted only during monthly audits, providing a substantial window during which the theft might remain undetected. The physical transfer of $18 million in currency through the ventilation system required Walter to work for over 6 hours in cramped conditions while managing weight loads that pushed his custom transport system to its design limits. His engineering calculations had been precise, but the actual experience of moving such substantial amounts of cash through confined spaces tested both his physical endurance and the reliability of his specialized equipment. Walter's transport system performed exactly as designed, allowing him to move bundled currency through horizontal ductwork and down vertical shafts to a staging area where he had positioned a stolen laundry cart. The modular cargo compartments that he had incorporated into his design proved essential for organizing and securing the money during transport through the complex route from the buffer zone to his exit point. The laundry cart that Walter used for final transport had been acquired from a commercial cleaning service through a carefully planned theft that appeared to be simple vandalism rather than preparation for a sophisticated crime. His modifications to the cart included hidden compartments designed to conceal large amounts of currency while maintaining the appearance of routine cleaning equipment. Walter's exit strategy required precise timing to avoid security personnel while maintaining the appearance of legitimate maintenance activity. His appearance as a contractor, completing routine weekend work, was so convincing that building security barely noticed his departure. The stolen laundry cart, loaded with $18 million in Federal Reserve currency, appeared to contain nothing more suspicious than cleaning supplies and routine maintenance materials. The escape phase of Walter's operation included vehicle switches and route changes designed to eliminate any possibility of connecting his legitimate identity to the theft. His methodical approach to operational security reflected decades of experience with complex technical projects that required careful attention to every detail. The discovery of the theft occurred during routine Monday morning inventory procedures, when Allied Bank personnel found the cash storage buffer zone nearly empty. Initial assumptions focused on accounting errors or misplaced transfer documents, as the sophisticated nature of the crime exceeded anything that bank security had previously encountered or prepared for. The FBI investigation initially concentrated on employees with legitimate access to the storage area, based on the reasonable assumption that such a sophisticated theft required intimate knowledge of bank procedures and security systems. The possibility that a retired HVAC contractor could have executed such a complex operation was not seriously considered during the early phases of the federal investigation. Special Agent Lisa Rodriguez, who assumed leadership of the federal task force investigating the theft, recognized that the crime required not only detailed building knowledge, but also technical expertise that suggested professional experience with the facility's infrastructure. Her analysis of the crime scene revealed sophisticated planning and execution that exceeded the capabilities of typical financial criminals. The breakthrough in the investigation came during a routine city permit audit that revealed discrepancies in contractor access records. Walter's fictitious Greene Environmental Services had been issued permits for HVAC work in the financial district, but cross-referencing revealed that the company's business registration was fraudulent and its insurance documentation had been forged. Digital forensics conducted on Walter's personal computer revealed extensive research into Eleanor's medical treatment options and the costs of experimental cancer therapies. His internet search history included detailed investigations of banks in areas where he had previously worked, combined with research into HVAC access procedures and security system bypass techniques that suggested criminal planning rather than professional curiosity. The manhunt for Walter Greene involved federal marshals, state police, and international law enforcement agencies due to concerns that he might attempt to flee the country with substantial stolen funds. However, investigators correctly theorized that his age and Eleanor's medical situation would keep him within the United States to remain close to her treatment. Walter's capture occurred 3 months after the theft when he was arrested at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, where Eleanor was receiving experimental immunotherapy treatments. Federal agents had been systematically monitoring facilities that provided the specific CAR T-cell therapy that Eleanor required, recognizing that Walter's devotion to his wife would eventually lead him to seek medical care despite the risks of detection. The arrest revealed that Walter had successfully converted approximately $12 million of the stolen currency through a sophisticated money laundering operation that involved precious metals dealers, cryptocurrency exchanges, and offshore banking arrangements. His technical background and methodical approach had enabled him to research financial conversion techniques that maximized his ability to pay for Eleanor's treatment while minimizing detection risks. The remaining $6 million was recovered from safety deposit boxes and offshore banking accounts that Walter had established using false identification documents. His systematic approach to hiding the money demonstrated the same methodical thinking and attention to detail that had characterized his HVAC career and made possible his successful theft. Walter's trial revealed the full extent of his planning and the sophisticated techniques he had used to exploit vulnerabilities in Allied Bank's security infrastructure. Expert witnesses testified about the extraordinary precision required to navigate building ventilation systems while carrying substantial weight loads and avoiding detection by multiple monitoring systems. The sentencing phase included emotional testimony about Eleanor's medical condition and the desperate circumstances that had motivated Walter's criminal behavior. While the court acknowledged the tragic situation that had prompted his actions, the judge emphasized that financial desperation could not excuse the sophisticated planning and execution of such a large-scale theft. Walter Greene received a sentence of 15 years in federal prison, with provisions for compassionate release if Eleanor's condition deteriorated significantly. His cooperation in recovering stolen funds was considered during sentencing, but the court noted that his abuse of professional knowledge and violation of institutional trust warranted substantial punishment. Eleanor's treatment continued with funds that Walter had successfully laundered before his arrest, allowing her to complete the experimental therapy protocol that represented her only hope for survival. Her cancer achieved complete remission following the CAR T-cell therapy, providing a bittersweet outcome to a case that highlighted the intersection of medical desperation and criminal opportunity. Allied Bank implemented comprehensive security upgrades following the theft, including complete replacement of the HVAC system that Walter had exploited and installation of monitoring equipment throughout all building infrastructure. New security protocols now provide continuous surveillance of ventilation shafts, service areas, and other building systems that were previously considered minimal security risks. The case prompted industry-wide reviews of contractor access procedures and the long-term security implications of providing detailed building information to service personnel. Financial institutions throughout the country began implementing policies requiring periodic security assessments that specifically address vulnerabilities created by former employees and contractors with historical building knowledge. Insurance industry analysis of the Walter Greene case revealed systematic gaps in coverage for thefts that exploited building infrastructure rather than traditional security breaches. The combination of insider knowledge and technical expertise created risks that existing security models had not adequately addressed, leading to enhanced background monitoring requirements for all personnel with access to sensitive facilities. The investigation also highlighted the importance of monitoring experimental medical treatments and their associated costs as potential motivators for financial crimes. Law enforcement agencies began tracking unusual medical expenses and treatment patterns as indicators of individuals who might become desperate enough to consider illegal activities to fund healthcare costs. 7 years after his arrest, Walter Greene remains incarcerated in federal prison, while Eleanor continues her cancer treatment with funds that investigators were unable to recover. His transformation from respected tradesman to federal prisoner serves as a cautionary tale about how medical emergencies can drive otherwise law-abiding citizens to desperate criminal acts. The ventilation system that Walter designed to protect Allied Bank's assets ultimately became the tool he used to steal $18 million and nearly escape detection. His case demonstrates how institutional trust in service personnel can create vulnerabilities that persist for decades after initial construction projects are completed. The empty storage buffer zone, where Walter harvested his fortune, now contains enhanced security measures designed to prevent similar exploits. But the technical sophistication of his approach and the desperate love that motivated it ensure that the Walter Greene case will be remembered as one of the most ingenious and heartbreaking bank heists in American history. Walter proved that sometimes the greatest threat to institutional security comes not from sophisticated criminal organizations, but from ordinary people with extraordinary knowledge who find themselves facing impossible choices. His legacy serves as a reminder that in the modern world of complex building systems and technical infrastructure, yesterday's trusted contractor could become tomorrow's most dangerous adversary. The deeper investigation into Walter's background revealed disturbing patterns that security experts had failed to detect during his decades of access to sensitive facilities. FBI behavioral analysts discovered that Walter had been systematically documenting vulnerabilities in high-security buildings throughout his career, maintaining detailed files that contained far more information than necessary for legitimate HVAC work. Walter's personal archives, discovered during the search of his Hudson Valley home, included over 400 building schematics, security system specifications, and access procedures for banks, government facilities, and corporate headquarters throughout the Northeast. His meticulous documentation habits, initially viewed as professional thoroughness, revealed themselves as potential preparation for criminal activities that might have extended far beyond the Allied Bank theft. The psychological profile developed by federal analysts painted a complex picture of a man whose technical brilliance masked deep-seated resentment about his financial situation relative to the wealthy institutions he served. Walter's detailed journals, recovered from encrypted files on his personal computer, revealed years of bitter observations about the vast amounts of money he protected while struggling to afford his own family's needs. Walter's criminal preparation had been far more extensive than initially suspected. The FBI discovered evidence that he had been conducting systematic surveillance of multiple financial institutions over a 5-year period, using his legitimate consulting work as cover for gathering intelligence about security vulnerabilities and cash storage procedures. His reconnaissance activities included detailed timing of armored car deliveries, guard rotation patterns, and cash handling protocols at 7 different banks. The technical sophistication of Walter's operation extended beyond his mechanical engineering skills to include advanced electronics and computer programming capabilities that he had developed through decades of working with increasingly complex building automation systems. His custom equipment included sophisticated electronic devices that could monitor and manipulate security systems in ways that rivaled the capabilities of professional espionage organizations. Walter's money laundering operation involved a network of precious metals dealers, cryptocurrency exchanges, and offshore banking relationships that demonstrated financial sophistication far beyond what would be expected from a retired HVAC technician. His systematic conversion of stolen currency through multiple jurisdictions and asset classes suggested professional-level knowledge of international finance and money laundering techniques. The investigation revealed that Walter had established false identities and backup plans that could have supported extended periods of hiding from law enforcement. His preparation included safe houses in 3 different states, complete with false identification documents, financial resources, and communication equipment that would have allowed him to evade capture indefinitely while continuing to fund Eleanor's medical treatment. Walter's technical innovations included the development of specialized tools and techniques that were sophisticated enough to be of interest to other criminal organizations. The FBI discovered evidence that he had been approached by individuals connected to organized crime syndicates who were interested in his methods for bypassing building security systems and accessing restricted areas without detection. The Allied Bank theft was revealed to be a test case for much more ambitious criminal operations that Walter had been planning. His computer files contained detailed plans for targeting Federal Reserve facilities, international banking centers, and government currency storage locations that could have yielded hundreds of millions of dollars if successfully executed. The precision of Walter's operation became even more impressive as investigators analyzed the technical challenges he had overcome. His navigation through the Allied Bank ventilation system required him to bypass motion sensors, pressure monitors, and air quality detection systems while carrying substantial weight loads through passages designed for air circulation rather than human passage. Walter's custom transport system incorporated innovations that impressed even experienced federal investigators and security consultants. His use of advanced materials, precision engineering, and sophisticated weight distribution systems created equipment that could have been manufactured commercially for legitimate rescue and maintenance operations. The escape planning that Walter employed demonstrated operational security awareness that rivaled military and intelligence organizations. His use of vehicle switches, false documentation, and communication protocols suggested training or research that went far beyond what would be needed for a single theft operation. The medical dimension of Walter's case became even more tragic as investigators learned the full extent of Eleanor's condition and treatment requirements. Her experimental CAR T-cell therapy represented cutting-edge medical technology that offered hope for survival but required financial resources that exceeded the lifetime earnings of most working families. Eleanor's treatment progress during Walter's criminal activities and subsequent incarceration created a complex emotional dimension to the case that challenged traditional approaches to criminal justice. Her successful response to experimental therapy, funded by stolen money, raised ethical questions about the intersection of medical necessity and criminal behavior that had no clear answers. The impact of Walter's case on the HVAC industry was profound, leading to enhanced background screening procedures and ongoing monitoring requirements for technicians with access to sensitive facilities. Professional licensing boards implemented new standards that required periodic review of contractor access to critical infrastructure and enhanced documentation of work performed in high-security environments. The insurance industry's response to Walter's case included development of entirely new risk assessment models that addressed vulnerabilities created by service personnel with detailed knowledge of building systems. Traditional insurance coverage had focused on external threats and employee theft, leaving gaps for sophisticated crimes that exploited building infrastructure and contractor access. The engineering innovations that Walter developed for his criminal activities became the subject of extensive study by security researchers seeking to identify and prevent similar vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure. His methods demonstrated how legitimate technical expertise could be weaponized against the very systems that contractors were hired to protect and maintain. The international scope of Walter's money laundering activities revealed connections to financial networks that operated across multiple countries and jurisdictions. His success in converting stolen currency through legitimate investment channels demonstrated the vulnerability of global financial systems to sophisticated criminals with technical expertise and patient planning. The case prompted congressional hearings on infrastructure security and the adequacy of background screening procedures for personnel with access to critical facilities. Testimony revealed that many high-security installations had not conducted comprehensive reviews of contractor access procedures in decades, relying instead on outdated assumptions about the risks posed by service personnel. Walter's personal transformation from respected tradesman to sophisticated criminal illustrated the complex factors that could motivate otherwise law-abiding individuals to commit serious crimes. His case became a landmark study in occupational crime and the exploitation of professional trust for criminal purposes. The technical documentation that Walter had accumulated throughout his career proved to be far more comprehensive than anyone had realized. His files contained detailed vulnerability assessments for dozens of critical facilities, including power plants, telecommunication centers, and transportation hubs that could have been targeted by terrorist organizations or foreign intelligence agencies. The FBI's investigation revealed that Walter had been systematically photographing and documenting security installations throughout his career, creating an intelligence archive that exceeded what many professional surveillance organizations possessed. His activities had been perfectly legal under the guise of technical documentation, but the scope and detail of his records suggested preparation for activities far beyond legitimate HVAC work. The ventilation system that Walter designed to protect Allied Bank's assets became the instrument of the institution's greatest security failure, proving that sometimes the most dangerous threats come from those entrusted with the most intimate knowledge of protective systems. His case stands as a permanent reminder that in the modern world of complex technical infrastructure, security is only as strong as the trust placed in the people who build and maintain the systems designed to keep assets safe.